I thought my perfect family would last forever. Emily and I had been married for 18 years, raising our daughters Jessica and Amanda in our cozy Boston suburb home. We had Sunday brunches, movie nights, and summer trips to Cape Cod. I worked hard in software development to give them everything they deserved. But lately, Emily seemed different, distant, secretive, always on her phone. I ignored the signs until that Tuesday afternoon when I saw her kissing Dave, our family friend, at that downtown restaurant. My world shattered, but nothing prepared me for discovering Jessica, my 17-year-old daughter, had helped hide the affair all along. If you're watching this from somewhere you've experienced betrayal too, hit that like and subscribe button as I take you through how my world collapsed twice in one day. I met Emily during my sophomore year at Boston University. She was studying elementary education, and I was knee-deep in computer science. Our first encounter happened at a mutual friends party, where we bonded over our shared love for classic rock and photography. There was something about her warm smile and genuine interest in everyone around her that drew me in immediately. We dated for 3 years before I proposed on a snowy December evening at the public garden. Our early marriage had its challenges. We struggled financially while I was establishing my career in software development, and Emily was working as a substitute teacher. Our first apartment was tiny, with barely functioning heating and noisy neighbors. But we faced every obstacle together, making the most of what we had. I remember those nights eating ramen noodles on our second-hand couch, planning our future while sharing a single blanket in the cold apartment. Those struggles made us stronger, or so I thought. After 7 years of saving and hard work, we finally purchased our dream home in a beautiful Boston suburb. It was a charming colonial with 4 bedrooms, a spacious backyard, and excellent schools nearby. Emily had secured a permanent position teaching 3rd grade at a well-regarded elementary school, and I had worked my way up to senior developer at a growing tech company. We were living the American dream we had sketched out on napkins in our college days. Our eldest daughter Jessica came along 2 years into our marriage. From the beginning, she was the spitting image of Emily with her delicate features and golden brown hair, but she had my analytical mind and problem-solving abilities. She excelled academically and was heading toward a promising future in law or medicine. Jessica and Emily always shared a special bond that sometimes made me feel like an outsider, but I cherished watching their relationship grow. Amanda arrived 3 years later, more reserved and thoughtful than her sister. While Jessica commanded attention in any room Amanda observed and processed. She inherited my love for technology, but expressed it through digital art and music production. She was sensitive to the emotions of others, often acting as the family peacekeeper when tensions arose. Our family had traditions that I treasured. Sunday brunches were sacred. I would make my special blueberry pancakes, while Emily prepared her famous hash browns. Jessica always set the table with precision, and Amanda would create unique centerpieces each week. Movie nights on Fridays featured a rotation of who got to pick the film, with plenty of popcorn and heated debates about plot holes. Every summer we rented the same beach house on Cape Cod for 2 weeks, collecting seashells and building elaborate sandcastles together. I took pride in being the provider and protector of my family. While Emily nurtured our daughters emotionally and academically, I made sure they never wanted for anything material. I worked extra hours to ensure college funds were growing, retirement was secure, and we could afford the occasional luxury. I wanted my girls to see what a dedicated husband and father looked like. I thought I was setting the example they would look for in their future partners. The first signs that something was wrong appeared about 8 months ago. Emily started spending more time on her phone, quickly turning it over when I entered the room. She changed her passwords and began staying late at school for what she called curriculum planning meetings. I noticed new clothes appearing in her closet, styles that were more youthful and flashy than her usual conservative attire. There were unexplained expenses on our credit card from restaurants I had never heard of. Most concerning was the growing emotional distance between us. Physical intimacy became rare, with Emily claiming exhaustion or headaches most nights. Our conversations became superficial, focused only on scheduling and household logistics. When I tried to discuss deeper topics or reconnect emotionally, she would find reasons to cut the conversation short. Jessica began acting strangely too. She became unusually protective of her mother's privacy, interrupting my questions about Emily's whereabouts or plans. If I mentioned Emily seemed distracted, Jessica would quickly offer explanations about school stress or committee work. At the time, I saw it as a daughter being supportive of her hard-working mother. I had no idea what was really happening. I convinced myself there was a reasonable explanation for everything. Perhaps Emily was planning a surprise for our upcoming anniversary. Maybe she was dealing with a difficult student situation she could not share due to confidentiality. I told myself that marriages go through phases, and we would find our way back to each other soon enough. The incident that finally broke through my denial happened on our 18th anniversary. I had made reservations at the upscale Italian restaurant where we had celebrated our engagement. I left work early to pick up flowers and her favorite chocolates only to receive a text from Emily saying she could not make dinner because of an emergency parent-teacher conference. When I called the school to see if I could bring her dinner afterward, the secretary informed me that there were no conferences scheduled that evening. That same night, I received a call from Susan, Dave's wife. Dave and I had been colleagues for years before becoming friends. I had even recommended him for a promotion 2 years earlier. Susan asked if Emily was with me as Dave had told her he was working late, but his office confirmed he had left hours ago. The worry in her voice mirrored the unease growing in my stomach. When Emily came home that night, Jessica immediately pulled her aside for a whispered conversation in the kitchen. When I approached, they separated quickly, with Jessica claiming they were discussing a women's health issue. Later that night, while Emily was showering, I found a receipt from a hotel downtown in her purse when looking for our insurance card. The date matched a day she had supposedly attended a teaching workshop in another district. I could no longer deny what was happening. My wife was having an affair, and somehow my daughter was involved in covering it up. The foundation of my life was crumbling beneath my feet, and I felt powerless to stop it. The day I confirmed my suspicions started like any other. I woke up, made coffee, kissed Emily goodbye as she left for school, and headed to my office. But instead of staying at work, I told my team I needed a personal day and left at noon. Something in my gut told me this was the day I would discover the truth no matter how painful. I parked my car a block away from Emily's school and waited. When the final bell rang, I expected to see her exit with other teachers. Instead, 20 minutes passed with no sign of her. Finally, I spotted her walking quickly to her car, checking her appearance in her compact mirror before driving away. I followed at a safe distance, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might break my ribs. Emily drove downtown to an upscale restaurant with a hotel attached. She checked her reflection again before walking inside confidently. Through the large windows, I could see her approach a table where Dave was waiting. The smile that spread across her face was one I had not seen directed at me in months. Bright, genuine, excited. When she leaned in to kiss him, not a quick peck, but a lingering, intimate kiss, the world seemed to stop spinning. My body reacted physically to the betrayal before my mind could process it. My stomach dropped as if I had plummeted down the first hill of a roller coaster. My lungs refused to draw breath and my vision narrowed to a tunnel focused only on them. I watched as Dave touched her face tenderly, as she laughed at something he said, as their fingers intertwined on the table between them. Every gesture was a knife twisting deeper into my chest. I wanted to storm in to confront them both in public to let everyone see what they had done. But some rational part of my brain held me back. I needed more evidence. I needed to understand the full extent of this betrayal before confronting it. So I took photos with my phone documenting their meeting from my car and drove home in a daze. That night, I contacted a private investigator recommended by a colleague who had gone through a similar situation. Within a week, he provided me with a comprehensive file. Photos of Emily and Dave entering hotels, meeting in parks, and sharing intimate moments in his car. Text messages they had exchanged through a secondary email account showed their affair had been going on for 7 months. 7 months of lies, deception, and betrayal, while I remained oblivious working extra hours to provide for the family that Emily was undermining. The most shocking discovery came through our family cloud account. While searching for evidence, I found deleted messages between Emily and Jessica. My 17-year-old daughter had not only known about the affair but had actively helped conceal it. She had covered for her mother numerous times, creating fake school events and committee meetings. There were messages where Emily thanked Jessica for being her lookout and for deleting suspicious texts from the family iPad before I could see them. The final blow was learning that Dave, the man I had mentored at work, the friend I had recommended for promotion 2 years ago, had been sleeping with my wife for over half a year. The same man who had attended our family barbecues, who had congratulated me on my 15th anniversary, who had asked for my advice about his career, had betrayed me in the most fundamental way possible. I waited until both daughters were out for the evening, Jessica at debate team practice and Amanda at her art class. When Emily arrived home, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the file of evidence spread before me. Her face went pale when she saw the photos. "Michael, I can explain," she began, her voice trembling. "Please do," I replied, surprising myself with how calm I sounded despite the hurricane raging inside me. "Explain how you could betray 18 years of marriage. Explain how you could lie to my face day after day." At first, Emily tried denial, claiming the photos were misleading or taken out of context. But as I silently placed more evidence before her, hotel receipts, text message transcripts, timeline of her whereabouts, her defenses crumbled. I felt neglected. She finally admitted, tears streaming down her face. "You were always working, always focused on providing financially, but never emotionally present." Dave made me feel seen, appreciated, desired. Each justification felt like another betrayal. Had I not worked those long hours to give her the life she wanted? Had I not supported her career, attended every school function, planned anniversary surprises? I listened as she explained how their friendship had evolved into an emotional affair, and then crossed the physical line during a school conference they had both attended out of town. "I never meant for it to happen," she sobbed. "And I never meant to hurt you. I was going to end it, I swear." When I asked, after another 7 months, after I found out on my own, "Were you ever going to tell me the truth?" Emily promised she would end the relationship immediately. She begged for another chance, insisting we could rebuild our marriage with counseling and time. She talked about our history, our daughters, the life we had built together. But all I could see were the lies that had undermined everything I thought we shared. Then came the moment that truly broke me. In her emotional state, Emily accidentally revealed that Jessica knew about the affair. At first, I refused to believe it, but Emily confirmed what the text messages had already told me. Our eldest daughter had been her confidant and accomplice. I called Jessica, immediately demanding she come home. The drive must have given her time to coordinate with Emily, because when she arrived, she was already defensive. Mom needed someone to talk to, Jessica argued when confronted. "She was unhappy, Dad. You were never around emotionally, even when you were physically present. I was protecting our family by helping your mother cheat, by lying to my face. How is that protecting anyone?" I asked, my voice finally breaking with emotion. Jessica's justification cut deeper than I could have imagined. "Dad, you are always working. Mom was lonely. I did not want us to end up like Tiffany's family. Her parents' divorce destroyed everyone. I thought if Mom had this outlet, she could stay happy enough to keep our family together." My 17-year-old daughter had decided that her mother's affair was justifiable, that deception was preferable to honesty, that I did not deserve to know the truth about my own marriage. The betrayal from Emily was devastating, but Jessica's betrayal shattered something fundamental in my understanding of family and trust. That night, I packed a bag and checked into a hotel. I could not bear to sleep in the same house with the two people who had conspired against me. Amanda called me confused and hurt, and I realized she had been kept in the dark as well. When she learned what had happened, she felt doubly betrayed, by her mother's infidelity and by her sister's complicity. Within days, our extended family was drawn into the conflict. Emily's parents suggested I should forgive her for the sake of the family. My brother offered his guest room indefinitely and advised me to contact a lawyer immediately. Friends took sides, with many expressing shock, not just at Emily's affair, but at Jessica's role in concealing it. I met with a divorce attorney the following week. As she outlined the process ahead, the reality of my situation truly sank in. My marriage was over. My relationship with my eldest daughter was severely damaged. The life I had built and cherished for nearly 2 decades had been built on shifting sand, and now the tide had come in to wash it all away. The weeks following my discovery of the affair revealed the full extent of Jessica's involvement, each new detail more painful than the last. While organizing my personal documents for the divorce proceedings, I gained access to Jessica's text message history through our family plan. What I found left me breathless with betrayal. Jessica had not merely covered for Emily passively, she had been an active participant in facilitating the affair. There were dozens of messages coordinating alibis. "Dad just called asking where you are. I told him, you were helping Miss Patterson with graduation planning." Another read, "Coast is clear. Dad will be at his conference until Sunday. Dave can come over Friday night. My daughter had lied to my face countless times. When I had called home during a business trip asking why Emily wasn't answering her phone, Jessica had told me her mother was in the bath with a migraine. The location data showed Emily was actually at Dave's apartment. When I had suggested surprising Emily for lunch, one day Jessica had texted me that her mother already had lunch plans with colleagues, another fabrication to protect the affair. Most painful was discovering Jessica had helped Emily shop for lingerie, specifically for her meetings with Dave. There were messages discussing what Dave might like and what would be special for the hotel this weekend. My daughter had not only enabled the affair, but had actively participated in making it more exciting and fulfilling for her mother and Dave. Jessica had also systematically deleted evidence from our family computer. Browser histories were cleared, shared calendar events were modified, and emails were permanently removed from trash folders. This was not the impulsive protection of a confused teenager, but the calculated assistance of someone fully committed to the deception. Our first attempt at family therapy was disastrous. The therapist, after hearing abbreviated versions of events from all sides, suggested that my emotional unavailability and workaholic tendencies had contributed to the family breakdown. Emily nodded eagerly while Jessica added examples of times I had missed events due to work or seemed distracted during family activities. While infidelity is never justified, the therapist said carefully healing requires acknowledging that relationship problems rarely have a single cause. Everyone played a part in the family dynamic that led to this point. I walked out of that session feeling like I was living in an alternate reality. The narrative had somehow shifted from my wife's affair and my daughter's deception to my supposed failures as a husband and father. Amanda, who had remained silent throughout most of the session, followed me out with tears streaming down her face. "Dad, that was not fair to you," she said quietly in the parking lot. "Mom chose to cheat. Jessica chose to help her. You worked hard for us. That was not your fault." Amanda's support was the only thing keeping me anchored during those dark days. At 14, she showed more integrity and emotional intelligence than her mother and sister combined. She agreed to split her time between my new apartment and the family home, though she made it clear she was deeply disappointed in both Emily and Jessica. Despite Emily's tearful promises to end the relationship with Dave, I discovered they were still seeing each other. A mutual friend spotted them at a restaurant in a neighboring town. Jessica was once again covering for her mother, telling me Emily was attending a teacher development workshop when she was actually meeting Dave. The situation with Amanda grew more complicated when she confessed she had been keeping secrets too. Torn between loyalty to her father and pressure from her mother and sister, she had been caught in an impossible position for months. Mom and Jessica made me promise not to tell you things, she admitted one evening at my apartment. Not about the affair. I did not know about that. But about other lies, like when Mom said she was using the vacation fund for classroom supplies, but really she was saving for a weekend trip with someone. I assumed it was a girls' trip. I feel so stupid now. The final piece of evidence that shattered any lingering hope for reconciliation was a collection of love letters Emily had written to Dave. Amanda found them hidden in her mother's crafting supplies and brought them to me, believing I needed to know the full truth. In those letters, Emily described Dave as her true soulmate and the love of her life. She wrote that she had settled for me because I represented stability and security, but that Dave awakened feelings in her she had never experienced before. I arranged one last dinner with the entire family, hoping for some kind of resolution, or at least a civilized discussion about moving forward. That evening became the emotional climax of our family's disintegration. The dinner began tensely, but cordially. We made small talk about weather and school, until Jessica abruptly changed the subject. "Dad, you need to realize your role in all this," she said, setting down her fork. "Mom did not just wake up one day and decide to have an affair. You were emotionally unavailable for years. You were controlling with the finances and family decisions." Emily nodded in agreement. "Michael, you were a good provider, but not a partner. I felt like an employee in our marriage, not a wife." I listened in stunned silence as they rewrote our family history, casting me as the villain whose neglect had forced Emily into another man's arms. When I mentioned specific times I had tried to connect, date nights, Emily had canceled vacation moments. She had spent texting someone else, family, movie nights. I had prioritized over work. Jessica dismissed them as too little, too late. The breaking point came when Jessica looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Maybe if you were a better husband and father, Mom would not have needed someone else." Amanda gasped while Emily at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. The room fell silent as her words hung in the air between us. In that moment, something inside me broke completely. All the love, the memories, the hopes I had cherished for our family collapsed into dust. I realized I was sitting across from strangers who had not only betrayed me but now blamed me for their betrayal. "I have been a dedicated husband and father for 18 years, I said quietly, my voice trembling with emotion. "I worked 60-hour weeks to provide the life you wanted, Emily. I attended every school event I possibly could. I planned anniversaries and birthdays and supported your career. I was not perfect, but I was faithful, honest, and committed." I turned to Jessica, tears finally breaking free. "And you? I taught you to ride a bike. I helped with science projects at midnight. I drove 5 hours to bring you soup when you got sick at debate camp. How could you do this to me? How could you help destroy our family and then blame me for it?" Neither had an answer that night. I left the dinner with the certainty that my marriage was irreparably broken, and so was my relationship with my eldest daughter. The two people I had loved and trusted most had not only betrayed me, but refused to acknowledge the pain they had caused. There was no moving forward from that kind of fundamental betrayal. The emotional devastation of that final family dinner became the catalyst for my decisive action. The next morning, I contacted my lawyer and formally filed for divorce, citing infidelity with substantial evidence. I had hesitated before, hoping for some kind of understanding or genuine remorse, but now I saw clearly that neither Emily nor Jessica truly recognized the depth of their betrayal. I found a one-bedroom apartment across town and moved the remainder of my belongings out of the family home. The house I had worked so hard to provide, where I had built countless memories, no longer felt like mine. Every corner held echoes of deception and betrayal. The financial strain of maintaining two households was significant, but the emotional cost of staying would have been unbearable. My employer offered compassionate leave when I finally explained my situation. I took 6 weeks to focus exclusively on my mental health and establishing my new life. During this time, I had minimal contact with Emily, communicating only through lawyers about divorce proceedings. With Jessica, I established a clear boundary until she could acknowledge her role without deflecting blame. I needed distance from her as well. Amanda was the only family member I maintained regular contact with. At 14, she showed remarkable maturity, splitting her time between both homes while processing her own feelings of betrayal and loss. She never pressured me to reconcile with Emily or Jessica, but created her own relationship with each of us independently. "I understand why you need space from Mom and Jessica," she told me one evening while we were setting up her room in my apartment. "They broke your trust in a really terrible way. I love them, but I do not agree with what they did." Finding professional support became crucial to my recovery. I joined a support group for men dealing with infidelity and family betrayal. Being surrounded by others who understood my experience without judgment helped me process my grief and anger in healthy ways. For the first time, I could express raw emotions without fear of being labeled controlling or emotionally unavailable. Individual therapy helped me identify patterns in my marriage that had indeed been problematic, though not in the ways Emily and Jessica had claimed. My therapist helped me recognize my tendency toward codependency, prioritizing others' needs while neglecting my own emotional health. I had confused providing financially with true emotional connection, working harder when distance grew, instead of addressing the root causes. "Your worth is not determined by what you provide," my therapist reminded me in each session. "You deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty regardless of your income or job title." This period of self-discovery led me to reconnect with old friends I had neglected during my marriage. My college roommate John, now living in a neighboring city, became a regular visitor and confidant. My brother Richard, who had offered immediate support when the affair came to light, helped me rediscover interests and hobbies I had abandoned years ago. I took up hiking, finding peace in the solitude of wooded trails and mountain views. I returned to woodworking, a passion from my younger days, converting part of my apartment into a small workshop where I created furniture for my new space. These activities became my therapy, allowing my hands and body to work through emotions my mind still struggled to process. The divorce proceedings moved forward with unexpected complications. Emily initially sought substantial alimony despite her teacher's salary, arguing she had become accustomed to a certain lifestyle. My lawyer presented evidence of the affair and Jessica's involvement, which significantly impacted the judge's view of the case. The final settlement was fair but firm, dividing assets equitably, while acknowledging Emily's role in ending the marriage. One of my first independent financial decisions was establishing a separate college fund for Amanda, ensuring her education would be secure, regardless of other financial complications. When Jessica learned her college fund would be impacted by the divorce, settlement reality began to set in. The consequences of her actions were no longer theoretical but tangible, affecting her future plans and opportunities. Emily and Dave's relationship crumbled once exposed to daylight and real-world pressures. Without the excitement of secrecy and forbidden meetings, they discovered they had little in common beyond their affair. Dave, who had envisioned Emily as a fun escape rather than a life partner, ended things 3 months after the divorce was filed. This prompted a flurry of desperate reconciliation attempts from Emily. "I made a terrible mistake," she texted one night. "Dave was nothing. You were always everything. Please give me another chance to make this right." I did not respond. The time for second chances had passed months ago, buried under countless lies and betrayals. Emily continued her efforts, sending emails reminiscing about our early years together, leaving voicemails apologizing for specific painful moments, even showing up at my workplace with tears and promises of change. Each attempt only strengthened my resolve to maintain boundaries. The most difficult decision was implementing a complete no-contact policy with Jessica. After another incident where she helped Emily attempt to manipulate me emotionally, I realized the relationship had become too toxic for my recovery. I sent Jessica a final email, explaining my decision. "I will always love you as my daughter, but I cannot maintain a relationship based on deception and disrespect. When you are ready to acknowledge your role without conditions or deflections, I will be open to rebuilding our relationship. Until then, I need to protect my mental health by creating distance." Jessica's response was a 16-page letter defending her actions and again placing blame on my emotional unavailability. She could not or would not see how deeply her betrayal had wounded me. I did not respond, beginning what would become years of separation from my eldest daughter. The first holidays after the divorce were particularly challenging. Emily attempted to recreate family traditions as if nothing had happened, inviting me to Thanksgiving dinner for the girls' sake. Jessica sent manipulative messages about how my absence was ruining Christmas for everyone. Amanda, caught in the middle, suggested alternative arrangements that would allow her to celebrate with both parents separately. "Dad, I know this is hard," Amanda said as we decorated a small Christmas tree in my apartment. "But I am proud of you for standing up for yourself." Mom and Jessica still do not get it. They think everything can go back to normal if you just forgive them, but they are not really sorry for what they did, just sorry about how it turned out. As months passed, I gradually rebuilt my life on a foundation of authenticity and self-respect. I transferred to a different department at work to avoid daily interactions with colleagues who had known Dave. I established new traditions with Amanda focused on quality time rather than material gestures. I even began cautiously dating again, though I was transparent about my trust issues and healing journey. 2 years after the discovery of the affair, my life had transformed completely. I had been promoted to a leadership position that allowed more flexibility and less travel. My apartment had become a true home, filled with my woodworking projects and photography. I had a small but loyal circle of friends who understood my boundaries and respected my journey. My relationship with Amanda flourished as she matured into a thoughtful young woman. Now 16, she navigated the complex family dynamics with remarkable grace, maintaining her own relationships with Emily and Jessica while respecting my boundaries. She never pressured me to reconcile, but occasionally shared updates when appropriate. Jessica made periodic attempts to re-establish contact. Birthday cards arrived with lengthy letters about forgiveness and family. Emails marked urgent contained news about her college acceptance or other milestones she thought might interest me. Each time I acknowledged receipt to Amanda, but maintained my boundary of no contact with Jessica herself. The last Christmas card from Jessica arrived 3 years after the divorce. I returned it unopened with a brief note, asking her to respect my boundaries. It was the hardest thing I had ever done as a parent, but I recognized that true healing sometimes requires difficult choices. "Jessica still does not understand why you will not forgive her," Amanda reported after a weekend at her mother's house. She says she was just a kid trying to protect mom. She was 17, old enough to understand right from wrong, I replied gently. And forgiveness does not mean restoring a relationship without accountability. I have forgiven her for my own peace, but reconciliation requires mutual understanding and respect that has not happened. The journey taught me profound lessons about self-worth and authentic relationships. I learned that love without respect is not truly love at all. I discovered that enforcing boundaries is not selfish but essential for emotional health. Most importantly, I came to understand that family is defined not by blood, but by those who honor, respect, and cherish you. For those of you watching who have experienced similar betrayals, know that healing is possible. The path is neither straight nor easy, but with time and support you can rebuild a life even more authentic than the one you lost. The trauma of betrayal can become transformation when you use it as an opportunity to rediscover yourself and your values. I found freedom in releasing relationships that caused more pain than joy, more damage than growth. Forgiveness happened not for Emily and Jessica's benefit, but for my own peace of mind. I forgave them not to welcome them back into my life, but to release the power their betrayal held over me. Today, my life is built on truth rather than comfortable lies. I choose relationships that honor authenticity over those that prioritize appearances. And while the pain never completely disappears, it no longer defines me or my future. Have you ever had to make the difficult decision to cut contact with family members who betrayed your trust? What helped you heal and move forward? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to support others going through similar journeys. Remember, sometimes the bravest thing we can do is walk away from what hurts us, even when that means leaving behind people we once thought would be in our lives forever. Thank you for listening, and I wish you strength and healing on your own journey.